If you follow conflict route, you've heard many stories about police operations, armed confrontations, chases, ambushes. But today is different. This is a story that mixes action, psychological terror, and a mystery that to this day, not even the police can explain. A forest in the interior of the West Zone, known by the locals as the Forest of Doom, the place where no police officer can finish a patrol without going crazy or dying. Now, before I take you on this mission, subscribe to the channel, because if you like tense, real stories, full of mystery, psychological terror, and you want to follow behind the scenes of the most sinister operations, this is the right place. Hit the subscribe button, activate the bell, and get ready, because what's coming next will mess with your mind. Before it all began, 5 men were chosen, 5 police officers with an impeccable track record of operations. Sergeant Marcos Vieira, 21 years of service, specialist in crisis negotiation, but with a history of excessive violence in approaches. Lieutenant Rafael Costa, a strategic, cold officer, known for not believing in mysticism nor in warning residents. Corporal Rodrigo Nunez, sniper, hunter of bandits in rural areas, but with old complaints of abuse of authority. Private Leandro Rocha, above average physical strength, explosive, responding to an investigation for assault. Private Andre Silva, the youngest member of the team, recently graduated, son of a police officer, no criminal record, but with one detail: he was always the one who was neglected by the group. He turned a blind eye to everything. That was the team. The order was simple: enter, reconnoiter, mark risk points and return. The radio barely worked, the GPS was frozen, but the lieutenant insisted, "This is just interference. The forest will surrender to us." Little did they know that the one who would surrender would be their sanity. For the first 2 hours, the compass was spinning, non-stop. The radios hissed as if someone was breathing on the other end. Corporal Nunez stopped in the middle of the trail, staring into the woods. "I heard my brother's voice, but he died years ago." Soldier Andre saw his father standing among the trees, with his face completely black, like a living shadow. Sergeant Vieira said he was hearing the sound of a formation whistle, but no one had a whistle on that mission. Trying to keep his head on straight, the sergeant organized the team. They used jungle tactics. They set up a security perimeter. They placed improvised sound mines, marking tapes on trees. They set traps. They stood guard. They held vigils in shifts, but nothing helped. The traps were disarmed in the morning. The trail markers disappeared, and the sound of footsteps seemed to come from all sides at once. Little by little, the police officers lost control of their minds. Corporal Nunez was the first. Without saying a word, he moved away from the group. He put the barrel of the gun to his own mouth, and as he pulled the trigger, silence, the dry crack echoed through the forest. The lieutenant tried to shout orders, but his voice was already shaking. Hours later, Leandro lost control. He looked at Soldier Andre. He started shouting, "You're not one of us! You're a traitor! Why are you staring at me?" And before anyone could react, Leandro advanced with the knife and stuck it in Andre's neck. But Andre, even injured, managed to crawl and barely survive. Leandro, after the attack, fell to his knees and simply started laughing. A laugh that seemed to have no end. The next morning, Lieutenant Rafael, completely out of his mind. Sergeant Vieira woke up with 2 direct shots to the head. No discussion, no explanation. When Andre woke up and he only saw the body, and the lieutenant, with glassy eyes, staring into space. He was conspiring against the mission, said the lieutenant with a sick smile. A few hours later, the lieutenant tied his own rappelling rope to a tree and hanged himself without leaving a note, no last word. From that team of 5, only one remained, Soldier Andre, wounded, unarmed, no food, not knowing what was real. Andre started walking in circles. He saw the faces of all his dead comrades. Did you see your father? He saw himself dead, lying beside a tree. The forest seemed to play with his mind, showing him all his sins, all his omissions, all his cowardice. 3 days later, a search party found him, kneeling, eating clay, and repeating without stopping, "I confess, I confess. It wasn't me, I just obeyed." When they lifted him into the helicopter, he no longer recognized anyone. No paper, disorientation in dense forest, collective psychosis, cause of death, suicide, homicide, undetermined causes. But the mission audios said something else. At various times, a woman's voice, with police codes from the 70s, appeared in the recordings, since there were no women in that operation. When the case was studied by a PM psychologist, a frightening pattern emerged. Each one died according to his own sin. Nunes, he killed himself, as he had tried before. Leandro, he murdered an innocent man, as he had done before outside the uniform. Scallop, killed with 2 shots the way he usually did it. Lieutenant Raphael, hanged by one's own arrogance and disregard for the lives of others. And Andre was sentenced, going crazy. When Andre was rescued, his condition was pitiful, dehydrated, with sunken eyes, open wounds, delirious, talking to the air, as if seeing invisible people around. Rushed to the military hospital, he was isolated in the psychiatric ward. During the first few days, he didn't sleep. I spent the nights awake, drawing with blood, strange symbols on the bedroom walls. The doctors tried everything, heavy sedation, shock therapy, but none of the medication seemed to have any effect. And the most bizarre, even sedated, Andre kept muttering phrases in police codes from the 70s, codes he had never learned, as if someone or something was speaking for him. During the neurological examinations, the psychiatrists noticed another disturbing detail. His brain showed abnormal activity, as if Andre was dreaming, awake, the whole time. The scans showed spikes of terror, as if he was reliving the experience in a loop without end. And then came the most frightening revelation. One of the doctors, curious, decided to review the old PM files, and he found a document of a similar case, dated 1973, a group of old police officers that disappeared in the same forest. During a night patrol, the only thing left from that mission, it was a radio recording with a voice, saying exactly what Andre was saying today, word for word. Things got worse when the researchers decided to return to the forest to search for evidence, weapons, or any bodies from the previous team. But when they got there, they found absolutely nothing, not even blood, no weapons, not even the vests, no traces. It was like none of those men had existed there. However, when searching a clearing in the middle of the forest, the researchers found something that sent chills down everyone's spine. A row of improvised crosses made from branches, each one with the full name of each police officer on the team, including Andre's. That's right, Andre's name was there too, written in charcoal and dated the day after the rescue, as if the forest already knew the destiny of each one. Back to the hospital, Andrew. He started refusing to eat. He said he was listening to orders, like I'm back on the mission. He started writing nonsense sentences, but the experts in linguistic expertise soon noticed. What he wrote were exact transcriptions of statements made by police officers killed in the 70s, word for word, phrases that were never made public. And then came the great discovery. A forensic psychologist named Dr. Helena, who was following the case, decided to investigate Andre's past more deeply. Going through files, she discovered a detail that no one knew. Andre's father, the man he saw in his hallucinations. He had been one of the PMs who disappeared in the forest in 1973. Exactly. Andre's father was on that patrol that never returned. And Andre, I never knew about that. His mother had hidden this truth her entire life. The forest spared Andre because somehow He was part of her, as if his blood already belonged to that place, as if the son had to carry the legacy of madness left by his father. Andre's destiny was never to die in that forest. His destiny was always to be trapped inside her, forever, even being away. 2 months later, 2 policemen on patrol, passing by the road near the forest, they receive a strange signal on the radio. Interference, hiss, and a voice, weak but perfectly audible. Private Andre Silva, reporting Unit 304, requesting backup. I'm under arrest. I need support. The problem, that transmission came from inside the forest, since Andre is still hospitalized and completely sedated, more than 100 kilometers away. Now tell me, if I were you, with his vest, his gun, and his years of training, would you have the courage to enter that forest? Do you think you could handle the weight of seeing your friends going crazy, of hearing voices that shouldn't exist, and being the last to leave, but with the mind completely destroyed? Because it's the question that every police officer who passes by there asks himself, could I survive the forest of doom? If you've made it this far, it's because the story touched you. Then do the following: leave a like. To help this video reach more people who enjoy real stories of action and psychological horror. And now answer below, what would your death be according to your sin? That way I'll know that you're one of those who stays until the end, who faces fear, and that is prepared for the next insane story that I'm going to bring here on Conflict Route. So take advantage now, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and get ready. Because the next case could be even worse. And maybe next time, it's you who will have to do this patrol.